Hello world. In this video we are going to build a tiny URL like service, or we can say a web app. What it will do, we will give it a full URL and it will return us or save our tiny URL in our database. And then we can also have a look what are all our URLs we have made tiny. So this is what we are going to build. And what is the tech stack we are going to use inside this project? We will be using T3 stack. What is the T3 stack? It is the combination of Next.js, Tailwind CSS, tRPC, Prisma, and Next.js. Next.js is utilized for authentication purpose. And that's all about the intro in this video. Now we will hop into our PC and we will start building our application. So let's get started. Now we are inside our PC. So you can have a Windows machine or you can have a Mac machine. If you are on Windows, you should install Git Bash. Or if you are on Mac, just open the terminal and we will start building our application. So first what you have to do, make a folder in which you want to build your application. Or if you want to build the application in the root directory, you can do also. What I will do, I will go into my YouTube folder on my desktop. So desktop/YouTube, and now I will make a directory, or I can directly use the create t3 command to initialize my directory over here. So I will say npx create t3 app and @latest to pull the latest version of it, and we will say tiny URL clone, and we can just hit enter and it will ask us to verify something. So it will say if you want to install it, yes, I want to, and then it will ask us to choose TypeScript or JavaScript. We will be using TypeScript in this project, and we want to install everything inside this tutorial. So we will be using Next.js, Prisma, Tailwind, and tRPC. Initialize a new Git repository. Yes. Would you like to run npm install? Yes, definitely. Please do it for me. Let's go. So it will take some time. Just wait a minute and it will be installed. And then we can directly start building our application. So while this is being installed, we can have a look what tinyurl does. So we can have a look tinyurl.com and we can sign up to it. So we can say clubofcoders.com, or we can just go to Udemy and we can find my page. I also teach on Udemy, so let's find Pranjal Soni. So let's assume this is my latest course and I want to shorten this URL. So we will click copy and go here and we will paste the link, and we can say make tiny URL, and we can also use the alias. What is this? So we will try it later. So make tiny URL. So it is created a tiny URL for us. Okay. And we can go to my URLs and we can have a look. These are all the URLs we have. So we will build the similar functionality. We will not focus on the design part. We will just focus on our application part, or we can say our backend part. What is the main functionality part? Okay. So now note this one. So I hope everything is installed. Okay. So we will go into tiny URL clone and we will open this. So code dot. So as of now, you can see this is the folder structure, Prisma. Inside the Prisma, it is using SQLite, and I think it is using the database file as for now. These all models, or we can say tables, are for Next.js, and here we will implement our custom models. So this is our Prisma, inside page, tRPC, everything is good. You can say file.db.sqlite. So we will be using the same thing. We are not focusing on which database should we use. We will just proceed whatever we are given by create t3 app. So this is our directory, environment variables, pages, authentication, tRPC. Here we will define our tRPC routes, not here inside the server, inside the API, inside the routes. Here we will define our routes. This is our tRPC, this is our DB, styles, types, APIs, everything is set up for us. We don't have to worry. Okay, so first we will run this and we will see, we will take a look, npm run dev, just like that. And it is running. So it is running on port 3002. So we can run this localhost 3002. So this is our create t3 app. You can see inside the pages, inside index.js, we will remove everything. We don't need it. Control A, RAFCE, home page. Tailwind is already defined. So we will say W full, H full. This is a flex container, justify center, item center to center, the elements inside it. And now we will say we need a form to submit the URL which we want to shorten, or which we want to make it short. So form, we don't want any action. On submit, here we will say handle submit. Inside this we will define our input field, which will be text and long URL, just like that. And this is our button, which is a submit button. Short say division, or not here, here division, enter a long URL to make it tiny URL, and handle submit is a function which will do stuff for us. And because we are using TypeScript, that's why we have to do this. And to know what is the event type, there is a hack to it. You can hover over it and you will find that it is a form element, and you can copy it and you can grab it over here just like that. And now event.prevent default, because we don't want to refresh our page when user hits submit button. And we can say make tiny URL, make it short. And this is our form and this is our division. Here we will render all our shortener URL. So here is the list of your URLs, and now we should have 2 columns here. So how should we design it? I am thinking about it. So we can have 2 columns, or let's go to Xcellit row, and here we will look how should we design it. So this is our screen. This will be our form, not this one. We will center it just like that. This will be our form, and here we will render all our URLs, and we can make it like this. And here we can make it like a table, and we can say all long URLs, short URLs. Nice. So we can use something like that. So you can see this is our first division, and this is our second division, and these are both in flex column direction. We will not be using the native table HTML tag. We will just use, so we will say flex. This is flex column, and this is another division, and here we will say this is another division. Inside we have 2 divisions, as I said. First one is for division into 2, so all long URLs, and here you will say shorten, or we can say short URL. This is our table headings. There is a package called TinyStack table, which is a great library to build table faster, but we will just proceed as for now. I don't want to make this tutorial complicated. Inside this we can make 2 divisions. So this is all long URLs, and we can say class name is flex. We just want to look it just nice. Okay, I am not a designer, and I just make web apps look like nice. Okay, so these are long URLs, and here we can say this has 2 divisions, and here we will render all shorts. Here we can say long URLs. Now we can remove this list. Cool, can remove that. Now you can see how our app is looking. Okay, so it is looking ugly. We will give it some border or background color of gradient. Let's give it gradient to bottom right, from white via gray 100 to slate 4, and make it full just like that. And we should make it flex column. Can make it edge 1, edge 2. Text should be 3XL. Text color, let's give it black. Font semi bold. Cool. Don't want to, let's remove this. Okay, not, we want to center it along the x-axis but not on the y-axis, so we can do like that, and we can give it some margin 10. But because of width and height we have given screen, it will overflow, so we will give padding. Now it is looking good. Enter a long URL to make it a tiny URL, and make it short. This is our form, and now we will design our input field, and we will design exactly like this. Okay, so it is not nice, but okay, we can make it nice. Border of gray 600 when this field is focused. Border of gray of 900, and then we can say rounded XL. We can also say outline should be null or none. Save this, and let's see. Yeah, and we should give it some padding of 2. Cool. Text should be gray 400, 600. Cool. And this is our button. We also should give some styles to our form. Class name flex column, justify not necessary, and that's all. Space y 4. We can give it some class names as well. BG, let's give it indigo color. Rounded. Save this. Text should be white. Border white. White border is not looking. Now it will look. Where is our border 2? Or let's give it indigo 600 and make the background text should indigo. Yeah, it's nice. And invert it over hover. So we can say hover. After hover, BG should be indigo, and the text after hover. So we can select after hover column selector, and we can say now the text should be white. You can see this is good. And after hover, you can say border is, what is our background color? Indigo 5. Or we can directly give it 600. It will look similar, and we can give it some transition property. Transform is not necessary. Duration can give it 300. Now have a look. Yeah, and we can give it active, because this is our main action button. That's why we are designing it so much. Action when the button is clicked, it will be scaled down a little bit, 95, and then use the transform property. Now when we click it, you can see this. Cool. And here become Excel is too much, I don't like that. Cool. Border gray, can give it 300 something. Now it's nice. We need to also give some margin over here, my5. Cool. And we can make it with full. We can also make it with full. Okay, so it is max with MD. It's cool, it's nice. When you click on it will save over, it will make it short and save it into our database. So what is the architecture of the shortened URL service? So we have a long URL, so we can say long URL. Let's zoom in. So we have a long URL, and then it will be saved as a mapping. So you can assume we have our database table called URL. It has fields name, user ID, long URL and small URL. Long URL should not be unique. Basically, small URL or the shortener URL, which we'll make using another package called nano ID. So we'll use the nano ID to make short URL, or we can say the short ID for each URL. So it will save mapping from long URL to short URL, and then we will, when user clicks on the short URL, he will be redirected to our application. Then on the main page, the user will fetch the long URL using the short URL, and then we will redirect user to the long URL. So this is how it will perform. So now we can say this is looking good. The form is completed. Now we can also give it some my of 5, and we can give it the same classes as this. We can make it s3. We can give it 70, would be nice. Yeah, now these both are in this both division. Okay, so these are one division and this is another division. So let's remove the parent division, and we can call it into the flex class name, flex row. We don't have to define the flex row property here. It is by default flex row, and we can say we can use the divide x, and it will divide our both divisions, and it will use the border. So you can see here. Okay, for that we need to give it also the same classes like this, and we need to give it with full. You can see, and we need to, it is giving border, and we need to define our border property, border, just like that. And border color also needed. Border should be gray of 8700. Okay, so it will calculate 1 pixel. There is a property called divide in Tailwind, which will automatically divide the children container. So we can have a look on the documentation, divide Tailwind. So I think it works with grid, not with flex. Yeah, so it works with grid, so we can use grid as well, but for now let's forget about divide, just use the border, and we will say we need border right. Cool, border right, and that's all. We can also make a border indigo 500. You can see this now looks at as list border 2, border r2, and we can say padding right 0. This works or not. See, it doesn't work. So what we can do, we can give it space as x2 or more, 4 I think. Yeah, we also need to give it bottom border indigo. We can just copy this thing, paste it here. Cool, it's working, but it is taking some. What's the problem here? So you can see this is not taking the full content. bg red to debug 400. Okay, and how about this bg blue? So it is, if we remove this thing. Okay, so this is because of space. Yeah, it looks nice now. Cool. Now here we will render the long and short URL list, and cool. Now we just need to build our functionality. So as I told you, what is going to be the functionality of this application? So we will just save this URL, which we are passing it over here. So inside the tRPC route server, inside API, this is our example route. Instead of example, what we can say, we can just say this is URL route, or keep it example. You can name it whatever you want, and instead of this we can say shorten the URL short. It is a public procedure, which means anyone can access it. Dot input, and the input is z.object. Inside the object you should import z from Zod. It is already imported, and we need a URL, long URL. It is z.string dot. Do we have URL? Is URL, so we can pass through it. So we can say z dot is URL if it is unsafe any. Okay, so there is URL thing, which is boolean. Cool. So what is this? How should we use this? Okay, so let's go to Zod is URL. Okay, so we have the cool. We should trim it before, and then the URL, and then here we have message is invalid. Okay, we can directly use this URL, and we can also give it message as it looks here, user website. Cool. We can also type our message, or let's leave this, and we can say dot mutation, because it is a mutation we are modifying our database inside the params. Let's do this context. Inside context we have Prisma and we have session, and here we have our input. So inside the input we have our long URL. Now what we will do, we will save this inside our DB. So for that we need to make a table first. So go to Prisma schema. Instead of example, what we will do, model, and we will set URL, anything you want. We'll copy this thing. We can say long URL. This is a string, and that's all. And it is short URL. It is a string and it should be unique, @unique, so that we can find this URL by going into it. Okay, that's all we need. We are not connecting it to user because I want this tutorial to be short and simple. Let's save this. Go to here. First we will run this command, npx prisma db push. It will generate a file db.sqlite, and now we have our database in sync with our file. Now we will run again, npm run save. This is 3001, 3002. Our server is running, so we have to return the short URL here. So we can say data, whichever data we need, await, because it is async function and it will take some time. And we can say we have example inside the URL, so we have named it URL. Okay, so we can see auto completion here, so everything is here. We'll say we need URL dot create, just like that. And inside data, what the data we need your long URL, and short URL is we will create using nano-id. So first install the nano-id package from here, install it, then we can use it like that to generate a random nano-id. What it is saying, first import nano-id from. We'll read the documentation to generate a smaller one. Can zoom in a little bit, and we want to make it shorter. We can also use custom alphabet and do this kinds of stuff. So we need only, let's give it 5. What it is saying, unsafe nano-id, remove it from here. Const short URL is equal to nano-id. Okay, it is complaining that the expression is not callable. Why is that? Should we import it like this? Yeah, now it is callable. Cool. Now we have our short URL. So we can do like this, or we can just do like this, simple. And it is still complaining. Why is that? It is a string. We should import it like this, and this is a string. Unsafe assignment of any value. This is a string, we know. Why is it complaining? What else we need? That's all we need, and it will return us the URL data. Inside we can do, okay, so as string, I think. No, it is still complaining. So first let's call this route and we will see what is happening here. Let's log the short URL like that, and it is saying we can remove async for now. We can save this. Now we can call it from here. Const get short URL is equal to tRPC, where it is. Okay, not this one. We need tRPC from here. So this is what, not this, into the utils folder where it is API. Okay, so instead of tRPC we will call it API dot. First import it, API from dot slash utils slash API, and now you can see the auto completion here. So inside the example we have shorten URL, and it has use mutation, just like that. And now we can get shorten URL dot mutate, and now here we can provide the long URL here, but we have to first control the input. So for control input you can say set long URL. It is first empty. Import the user state. Inside this you can say on change event, you can say set long URL event dot target dot value, just like that. Cool. Now we have our long URL here, and it will be passed as along this mutation. Cool. After this happens, so we can also define on success console.log successfully saved into DB, and on error we can define console.error failed. It also passes us the error thing, so we can use this thing here. So we can console.log what is the error, like that. Okay, so this is our application. Now save this and we will see what is the problem we are getting with nano-id. So go here, open the console. I hope you are able to see. Yes, this is okay. Okay, refresh this. This is cool. So first it should be a URL. So if we try to do it, it will fail. It will say that invalid URL. So first we have to make sure that this is URL. So we will copy this link, and now we will paste this link over here. You should be able to see here. Make it short. Successfully saved into DB. So this means our route is working, and we can have a look what is public procedure. So it is saying okay, tRPC failed on invalid URL. Okay, so it is giving us a 5 length short URL. Then why this is complaining? It should work. So here we will save like this. Okay, so we will just proceed. We will ignore this warning and we will return our URL data dot short URL. We can say URL like this. Save this. So the problem was you just have to refresh your browser, or you just have to reload your browser. So you can do with this shortcut, Command plus Shift plus P, and then you can reload this window. So after reloading, the error or the warning will be gone and it should look, or it should work perfect. So now we have saved this short URL inside our DB. And now if we go to here, if we try to fetch it, or if you try to save it again, so we will paste our URL. We'll go to this website, we'll paste it, make it short, and successfully saved into DB. And you can see input is long URL and the output is short, which is this. And this short URL, what we will do, we can redirect it using, we will use a slug like this. So here we can say short URL, and here we will use this route to redirect the user to another page, or to their page. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to fetch the list of all the URLs here. So what we will do, we will go again in the URL, or I think this is the part for yours. You can connect it to the user and you can fetch all the URLs of that user, including long and short. Currently what we will do, when the user goes to, we will build the main functionality. When the user goes to, we will create a new page, url.tsx, and this is our short URL page, and it has const. This page, the work of this page is to just redirect the user. That's all. So we can say router is equal to use router, import the router, and we will do use effect. We will run a use effect hook. So we can just remove this. We don't want anything to render. We just want to redirect the user. We need to also import our tRPC, or we can say API, or fetch long URL. We can say fetch long URL. This is also a public procedure, which means anyone can have a look at it. And now inside this we have object, and inside object we will take our short URL ID. We can say this is our ID, or we have named it short URL inside our table, so we can just use this. And we can say this is a string, and this is a string because we have made our ID up to 5, so we can use this is a 5 is equal to there is something which is equal to length. We can use the length property and we can say 5. The string length should be 5, and we can use a query over here, async function. Inside this we have context, and inside we have our Prisma. We will be able to fetch, and in the input we have our short URL. We will just return const data is equal to await Prisma dot what URL dot find unique. That's why we have made this short URL unique. And we will say here where the short URL is short URL, and return me all the data. So now what we will do, we will return data dot, not inside this. Okay, close this one here. So we will return data dot long URL, just like that. Save this, go here, and we can say fetch. We don't need use effect. Basically we can just redirect the user. Okay, but we need it. Why? You will see in just a bit. So fetch long URL. When the page first loads, it will automatically run our query. Okay, so this one. So inside API dot example dot fetch long URL, and it will take the input, not this. First we have to use the use query hook, and it will fetch our input. What is this? And the input is short URL, and short URL is router dot query dot, and we have named this URL to this, and we can say as string. And we don't want to fetch this route when this is not defined, or it is undefined. So we can say not. So we can say this is making it boolean value, and we can say that when the router dot query dot URL is defined, fetch this, otherwise don't. Now here we can, when this is being rendered, we can just do fetch long URL dot data. We can say window dot URL, window dot location, and we can say when this exists. If fetch URL exists, if this doesn't exist, we want to just return, and if it exists, then go to here. So we can use this window object, and inside this have a location href and fetch long URL dot data. And here it is complaining that we should use this one, so we can just use this. Now save this. So now we have made it short, nice and easy. We should also, so after this happens, so we can say state, use state, basically use state long URL. It is first empty string, set long URL. after this is successfully saved, we can say it will give us the data we need. Okay, inside the data we have, so data is a short URL, so we can say data dot short URL, just like that, and not a long, short. First it is empty string, we can say set short URL is this, and then we can show it here. Division, class name, border, say border of indigo 500, padding of 4, rounded LG, congratulations, your shortened URL is here, and we can render our short URL like, and we should only render it when short URL is not equal to empty. Save this. Now go to our application. Here you can refresh. Now we will make it short. So this is not looking like a URL, so we can copy that. We can go here, we can go to here, and we can enter, and now you will see we will be this will redirect us to this page. Okay, now let's shorten another URL. So go here, paste this, make it short. So this is our URL. Copy this, paste here. You can see this is working. Cool. So we have created a shortener URL service in like a half hours or something. So you can learn and build some cool applications using this T3 stack and this tRPC Prisma, Next.js, Next.js, and Tailwind CSS. This is a very hot tech stack in the current market, and it is in huge demand. You can build super scalable and highly developer experience web apps in like few hours, like we did just now. So I hope you will take this project to next level. You will do some modification on yours, and also if you want to enroll in my new Create T3 app course, this will take your skills to the next level. In this course, we will build a full stack blog application which has some great features like, comment, bookmark, post, use of external APIs, and all of those things. So I hope you like this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, just leave a like and leave a comment. What do you think? And I will see you in another great tutorial. Thank you.